Okay, now what we are looking is functions and variables after the ES6. So here I can have functions and variables.js. Functions and variables. How do you define the variable? Variables can be defined either by let or the var. So let, you can say, what you can say, age is equals to, I can say 15. Age is equals to what? 15. Let age is equals to this thing. See, I am neglecting the semicolons. If you go to the ES6, you will find there is no semicolon. Semicolons are optional in the ES6. You don't need to have the semicolons. Yes. These are the optional thing in the ES6. You write it or you don't write it, one and same, right? So that's why I have defined one variable, right? You can operate on the variables also, or instead of age I can say num1, and you can have let num2 is equals to 20, and here you can have what you can say, let result is equals to num1 plus num2, right? And you can say console.log, and here I can say result is $res, or instead of this $res you can write num1 plus num2 also. Expression also, here you can write any expression, function call, anything is possible. Even you can call one of the function also, that is also fine. These are nothing but the expression, but remember that these are the backticks, not the single quotes. Tilde operator, right below the escape there is one button, that button I am tapping, right? So I have written what you can say, I have declared two variables here, made some operation and try to execute inside the JS. Now what is this log? What is the console? What is the log? Remember that some people have written this as the function. Don't worry, this is about the TypeScript, right? This is the TypeScript, but in the JS people have defined this function which will accept string as a parameter. People have defined what function? Log is nothing but what? One function. Remember that. What is a log? Log is nothing but simple function, right? Log is nothing but what? Simple function. Now how to define function? Can you define your own function? Log is written by JS team. Consider that JS team has written the function. That's nothing but the log, and this log function is for logging on the console, right? Log is for what? Logging on the console. Okay, now here what I can do is that function, I want to define my function, and you can say calc result, name of the function calc result, and like this. So function calc result and something like this, right? Now you have, this is nothing but what? Function definition. You need to define the function in this way. This is nothing but what? Function definition, right? Now this function can have parameters, function can return something. See how? Let me define the function. Function calc result with param, and you can define two params, nm1 and nm2, right? Function defined with the parameters. The function is taking now two parameters. Third thing, function can return something. Function calc result return, This is the function. Let me have nm1 and nm1 and nm2, and from here I would like to return nm1 plus nm2. I would like to return what? See, here we have understand how to pass the parameters. Here we have understand how to return the value. And this is a simple function definition. Right? Now you have defined this function. Likewise, you have called the log on the console object. You have called dot, means console is one object, and on that object you have called the log. Okay. Now here you can call the function one by one. Calc result. See, I'm just calling it. Then you can say calc result param, and you can say 15 and the 50. Right? Then you can say calc result. Here it should be calc. This also return, right? 7856. This would be returning you one value, right? You can say let rs is equals to this thing. This function is returning you one value, which is the calculation of nm1 and what? nm2. This is nothing but the rs, and you can print it console dot log. What you can say? Function result is you can say dollar and what? rs. Dollar and rs. Calc result, calc param. This is nothing but what? Function calls. These are nothing but what? Function calls. This is how you will call the function. This is how you will define the variable. This is how you will call the function. This is how you define the function, and here you call the respective function. Right? If you get the output, right? Let me come to this project. Let me come to this folder, and here I can say open in the terminal. Right? Keep the code in front of you, and then you can say node, right? Node and function variable.js. See, here result is 35, function result is 145. So first result is coming from here, result is 35, and second result is coming from what? This line. Defining the function and calling the function, very important thing. Defining the function and what? Calling the function. Now with respect to the ES6, with respect to what? ES6, there are some things to understand. The function representation has been changed. So ES6 says that function can be represented in the way of lambda. Right, let me tell you how. So consider that I have one variable. You can say let fn is equals to. Let fn is equals to, you can write a function also, something like this. You can say something like this. So I'm assigning function to what? Fn. Right? To the variable I'm assigning what? Function. Now same thing you can have, let fn2 is equals to, functions can be represented in the terms of lambda. So if you write console.log here, and you can say this is traditional function, and here you can say console.log, and here you can say this is lambda, or arrow, fat arrow. But more precisely, that is coming from the mathematical terms called as lambda functions. From the mathematics it has came. See, this is a representation of the function. This is a different, this and this is very same. There is no difference. Lambda. So to the variable you have assigned the function. To the variable you have assigned what function. Here also to the variable you have assigned what function. This is called as lambda or the fat arrow. You can call it as what? Fat arrow. Lambda or the fat arrow. Remember that ES6 says that functions can be represented by the fat arrows. Right? So functions and the variables. Okay? So let RS is something like this. So this can be represented in another way, which is nothing but the lambda is. Okay? Well, I suppose this is about functions and variables. This is a little bit about what? Functions and variables. Right? When you talk about the lambda and you are inside the classes, when you talk about lambda and you are inside the classes, the meaning of this inside this is different, and meaning of the keyword this inside this is the different. We'll see time to time. Right? When we are going to learn what you can say classes and the objects, at that time you'll get to know that thing. Okay? So this is all about what you can say functions and variables. So over the period of time I'm going to touch more concepts related to this, but for now this is sufficient. Okay? Now in the next, what we are going to learn is the loops, how loops are working, right? How arrays are going to be defined, and many more things.